these lives.
Oh, it's going to be fun. I think we all heard this. This was real big news. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban calling it quits. I was shocked by this one. They've been married for 19 years. But this is interesting. It may be, you know, a little bit of an example of a trend. They're both over 50. That's being called a gray divorce, even though both of them do not have gray hair. But the gray divorce is on the rise. You don't have to physically have the gray hair in order to initiate
it's not
the
so
divorce.
literal. Exactly.
No.
So here, with all the things you may want to consider in a gray divorce, we have family law experts Jody Terzich and Shannon Ort from the law offices of Terzich and Ort joining us today. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Okay, just for context, Keith Urban's 57. Nicole Kidman is 58. Wow, he went with the older woman. Also, another example, Lori Loughlin from Full House. She's 61, and her fashion designer husband, they got divorced. He's 62 after 28 years of marriage. I mean, that's still a long run. But Shannon, we were talking to you during the break. Like, why do you think the trend is what it is with these gray divorces?
Well, we don't really know, but we have seen their divorce rates skyrocket. My presumption is that people are living longer and living healthier lives, and they realize there's lots of life after 60. So if they're unhappy, there's just another new beginning for them.
A new beginning. You two got to be partners and working together because you were representing clients that were opposed, right?
Correct.
And it was an example of a gray divorce,
Yes.
Jody.
They were in their 80s. They were in their 80s.
80s.
80s?
Okay, so 80s, and they're thinking, let's wrap this up. What happened?
My client was not thinking, let's wrap it up. Only Jody's client wanted to wrap it up.
Was it a she? Did she want out?
It was a he,
Yeah.
and he said, my doctor said I'm going to live another 10 years, and I don't want to live with her.
Wow.
Wow.
He thought he was going to die at 80, but the doctor said he had more life in him, and that was it.
He had the body of a 60-year-old man. That's
Oh
what he
my
told
gosh.
Jody.
Is that right? Okay, so I'm guessing they had some other things to consider than maybe some of these other gray divorces. But you guys have some tips and advice for people that are in this stage of life. Okay, so Jody, let's start with you. The number one thing is money, right? I feel like it always is, but why is it especially important in a gray divorce?
Well, in a divorce, people have been saving their money, right, for retirement. And so usually we're looking at a larger retirement asset and what is that asset? Is it an asset or is it an income if we're actually at retirement? How are we going to divide that? How are we both going to live? We were saving money, right? To live as one person, one household, reduce our expenses, and now we're doing the exact opposite. We're dividing that money in half and we're increasing our expenses.
So you have to think about retirement accounts, pensions, Social Security benefits, all of that is more complicated. I mean, I would just assume in general, the longer you've been building a life together with someone, the longer it takes to untangle it.
Not necessarily the longer, but certainly the more complicated it is, right? Because it's, as Jody was mentioning, it's not just about we have this pool of money and we're going to divide it. It is what is in payout status, right? Some things are, I've got a 401k account and we're not accessing it. It's an asset that's sitting there. Other things are people are already retired and there's a pension and they're receiving draws from that. And so we're trying to determine, do we keep saving? Do we need to keep saving now because our expenses just doubled? We were only anticipating of having these joint expenses, but now we're going to support two households on the amount of money that we presumed we were saving for one household.
Okay, this makes sense.
That's very tricky.
I think the family dynamic is really interesting because you might assume that, okay, well, the kids are grown, you know, the kids are gone, so we don't really need to, it's not like we have to figure out a custody arrangement, but there is still some trickiness with the family dynamic. What happened, Shannon?
Well, it is interesting because adult children have lots of opinions, right? Many of these children are taking over, they're adult children, but they're taking over caretaking roles for now parents. And so they feel like they have lots more influence. And so it certainly makes a difference in how you negotiate and talk to. Sometimes parents bring an adult child to a consult with them, or they have opinions about this should happen with my mom or this should happen with my dad. So it's just a complicating factor that I think we have to consider, that we have all of these third parties that have strong opinions and super emotion, you know, tied to some of these issues.
Yeah, it does seem like it's a little bit cleaner because you're not dealing with like the kids in the house, but at the same time, when you're talking about grandkids and now we're in the holiday season, it's like, well, who's going to go to Thanksgiving? And who's going to have everybody over in December for all the holidays? And I'm sure those are those things like you probably want legally to have on a piece of paper.
I don't know that you would put those things on a paper, but what we're constantly thinking about is how that is going to play out for these family members, because they are going to have children who are getting married or having grandchildren or wanting to go to Christmas. And how do you help that family move forward so that they can do those things and you don't rip that family apart by attacking personal issues? How do you do this in the most seamless manner so that people can still live happy lives?
I love that perspective from you guys, because I think when you look at, finding people to help guide you through this big life change, you want someone like the two of you who are thinking about, we want it, we're invested in our community. We want happy, healthy, emotionally stable people in this community. And so you're not just looking at it as like, you get this amount of dollars and you get this. It's really like, how can we try to get through this with the least damage inflicted?
Well, and remembering when you've been married long term like that, your families are blended very often, right? That your in-laws become, they don't feel like extended family. And so preserving those relationships to the best extent possible so that people can have traditions.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good
Jody
to
and
see you.
Shannon. We appreciate it. All right. If you need any advice about divorce, Jody and Shannon are happy to help. We have their contact information on our website. It's twincitieslive.com, or you can call that number that's just bright and shiny right there on your screen.